Hey, welcome to another Milepost here on the V-Twin Life. The V-Twin Life is brought to you by a few great companies. One being Crash Inc. Clothing. You can find them out of Oregon. Great company, specialized in clothes, doing work on bikes now. You can check them out at crashinclothing.com. They got a lot of great stuff. Hey, head on over there. Maybe they got something you like. And we can't forget Wild Ass. You like pounding miles, you like riding, you want to be in comfort? Hey, maybe strap a Wild Ass under your ass and ride with an air cushion and be comfortable for hours. And can't forget Custom Dynamics, leading the industry in lighting LED technology. Man, these guys got some great stuff. So head on over to Custom Dynamics and check it out. Now, let's get to another milepost of the V-Twin Life. What is going on, everybody? So we are pre-recording this one because we're coming into a holiday weekend, and plus, trying to get schedules lined up with guests that we come on. So we're doing this a little early. This will premiere for all you guys who are going to be watching this today. We'll just say today because this is going to be Sunday when this comes out at 5 o'clock. So Long Haul Paul, we have a couple mutual friends. I followed his journey for a little while, and it's awesome to get guests that come on that also are riding for a cause and riding for a reason. And man, Long Haul Paul has logged some serious miles on two wheels and has some great stories to share and is an awesome guest to have on. I'm honored. So, hey, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come on and share some adventures of Long Haul Paul.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to chatting and talking about what I'm doing and saying hello to everybody out there. And seeing that we're pre-recorded, I can probably guess the lottery numbers for tomorrow, right? Is that how that
There we
works?
go. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Heck
7,
yeah.
3, 15, 21, 64, and the Powerball is going to be 12. So
There you have it. So jump on those tickets and retire. So, hey, well, let's kind of dive into this where, the part where I love to start with all the guests is where did you find life on two wheels?
where did I find life on two wheels? Well, I didn't really start riding motorcycles until I was in my early 20s. I didn't grow up on dirt bikes. A kid in the neighborhood or one of my cousins might have had a little mini bike, pull stop mini bikes, but I never had a dirt bike. I never did any of that type of stuff, which is probably a good idea because when I had my first few cars, I was a little reckless, to say the least, in high school. Crashed quite a few cars. I mean, we used to jump bridges and stuff like that, Dukes of Hazzard style. So kind of glad I didn't have a motorcycle until I was, like I said, I think I was 21. My first motorcycle was a CB 554 Honda. And the only reason I got it was because a guy I worked with had owed me $50 for about 2 months. And finally, he said, I can't pay you, but I can give you this beat up motorcycle that hasn't run in 10 years. And that was my first bike. So I started, like I said, I think 21, 20, yeah, about 20 or 21. And I didn't really start riding what I consider riding today until I was in my mid 20s. Actually, I started riding maybe about 25 or so. I had bought a couple touring bikes, and I joined a Goldwing club. So picture a 25-year-old guy showing up at a Goldwing meeting with everybody there was twice my age plus, and but it was a good start. I learned about traveling, I learned about touring. Quickly outgrew the older crowd and also the Goldwing. Just found myself out riding it, and I rode BMWs for a while. Joined a BMW club up here in New England. Again, started to learn to ride a little bit harder, farther, and that type of thing. It was actually during my first marriage and my subsequent failed marriage, divorce, custody ordeal, where I really began to pile on the miles. And it was then that I really realized how long distance riding was really some therapy for me, therapeutic. And I will say on more than one occasion, it probably kept me from going to prison. Um, My ex-wife and I would have arguments and fights, and I would just get on a bike and I would just ride, and I would ride until I felt like I could come home. And those rides get longer and longer and longer, and often I'd find myself riding, to Chicago, turning around and coming back and making it just in time for work the next morning. Um, but those early years on the bike really taught me about the therapy that the two wheel life could bring. And
Very true.
I started, I joined up. I found the Iron Butt Association, and my first ever event that I ever entered in long distance rallies was the Butt Light, which is a mini version of the Iron Butt Rally, which was at the time a 7-day, 7,000-mile rally. I entered that, and then I began entering a lot more of the 24-hour rallies and weekend rallies, basically scavenger hunts on steroids is what they are. And luckily enough, actually, maybe not lucky enough, I was my entry was accepted into the 2001 Iron Butt Rally, which is really the Super Bowl of long distance riding. And I did manage to finish the 2001 Iron Butt, riding a Russian Ural, which was probably not the safest bet for a long distance endurance motorcycle. But that ride in 2001 really set the stage for the rest of my life. I broke down 47 times in 11 days. I went through 3 engines. I built push rods in a hardware store. I JB welded a push rod together to get me into a town where I could make better repairs. So it was quite an experience. And today, as I travel the country speaking to other people that live with chronic illness or disease, I talk about that ride. I talk about entering the world's toughest motorcycle competition on quite possibly the world's biggest piece of shit motorcycle.
I remember hearing stories about that because Go Home Ken was also telling me, we were chatting a while back, because I probably talk at least once a month. Once a month, and he was giving me that story. I'm like, dear God, building push rods in a hardware store, and of all bikes, a Ural that's based on technology from damn near 100 years ago.
Quite a few, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually want to ride the rally on a Ural, but there was no other way I could get in the rally. I wasn't accepted in the first draw, and I figured if I offered to ride the most ridiculous motorcycle, that they would let me in, and of course they did. They thought I was an idiot, and so did all the other riders. Some of the riders were actually angry at me because I had taken away a coveted spot that a real rider could have occupied. I was taking away somebody's chance at riding the Iron Butt. There was, back then, I think we had 100 riders, and there was a couple thousand people that would send in their entries. So very few people got picked. And when they pick somebody that everybody thinks isn't gonna even make it to the first checkpoint, there was a lot of people that were upset that I was just clowning around with a serious motorcycle event. So I also didn't own a Ural when I made the offer. I'd actually never even seen one. I just knew that they were not known to be reliable. So I just figured it would be a good bet. And when they accepted my offer, I had to go out and find one. And I think I destroyed the transmission just on the ride home from buying it. The transmission on that thing was so clunky. It had a heel toe shifter, and you had to literally stand on the heel part to get it to go up into gear. You had to jam on it. But like everything else on that bike, the shifter, that's all adjustable, and I didn't realize it at the time, but you can adjust that so it's not as crunchy and that type of thing. they really were made to be ridden out in the fields at 30 miles an hour and plucking along, and you can fix it with sticks and rocks, which is, kind of cool. Um, but yes, it was a primitive machine, and I was up against, the latest and greatest BMWs, Goldwings, Ducatis, all kinds of gadgets and tens of thousands of dollars worth of motorcycles. And I was riding a bike that had drum brakes in the front and rear, points and condenser, kickstart only. Yeah, it was a challenge, but that challenge 20 some odd years ago has also allowed me to take on challenges today that maybe I wouldn't be doing. So I credit that riding that Ural with a lot of things in my life, and teaching me that. I mean, I didn't win the rally, but I did finish. I came in 86th out of 100, and but it taught me you don't have to come in first place to still be a winner. I felt like I won that rally. I felt like I had overcome so much that was a win for me. And
Absolutely. I mean, just being accepted into the Iron Butt Rally is something to be said on its own. Just being able even to compete at that level and join, that's an elite class of riders, and I that's freaking amazing just on its own. And then to take the adventure that you decided I'm going to try this is, man, that's a whole nother ball game.
yeah, I went 400 miles before I blew up the first engine. I was actually officially sponsored by Ural, and they just said, "Well, we're going to help you out, but you just can't tell anyone because we don't think our bike's going to finish." But it was good,
awesome.
and that story. It's funny because 2 years later, the Iron Butts run every 2 years, and 2 years later, because I was a finisher, I was able to get a slot for the 2003 Iron Butt Rally. And this time, I didn't ride a Ural. I rode a well-equipped BMW, and I was in the top 2 or 3 riders almost the entire 11 days. Towards the end, I had some issues, which we'll talk about in a second, but I still managed a top 10 finish. And not a single person I ever meet remembers that I was a top 10 finisher of the Iron Butt. They all go, "You're the guy that glued that push rod back together in a dirt parking lot, aren't you?"
Hey, the things that build memories that people remember. It's the crazy stuff.
Well, one of the funniest stories, and we were talking about this before we clicked on, is the amount of people that are out there willing to help you, strangers. And during that Iron Butt Rally on the Ural, I had broken down. So I blew the engine 400 miles. I was towed to a Ural dealer 400 miles away. I'm sorry, 200 miles away. And the Ural dealer didn't have any bikes in stock, but he had his own personal bike. And he took the motor out of his bike and put it in mine in the middle of the night so I could continue on to the next leg of the rally, which is incredible. The
I
next
think even finding a Ural dealership is incredible on its own.
Yeah, I think it's better now, but back then it certainly was, mom and pop it was a side business, and they usually just had some brochures in their garage that they would show you. That night, I spent 4 hours trying to kickstart the bike. It wouldn't start. I had all kinds of electrical problems. The next morning, in Arkansas, I had to get off. I crashed on the highway. Something in the steering was messed up, and the bike went into a tank slapper and threw me off, and slid down the highway. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Russian Ural tank sideways sliding down the highway, but it creates quite a bit of bright, colorful sparks. Unlike like the Japanese bikes, all made of plastic, don't do that. So quite a sight. But anyway, there I am on the side of the highway. I've had a blown engine. I've had electrical problems. hours and hours trying to kickstart the bike. I had no rear lights. The bike is now all banged up. The windshield's cracked. The handlebars are bent. The saddlebags are all scraped up. There's a hole in the engine side case, oil all over the road. And the Arkansas State Trooper looks at me and he says, well, what are you going to do about it? And I says, well, what do you mean? He says, well, why don't you see if you can fix it up and continue on your ride? And I'll tell you, at that point, that thought had not occurred to me. I was ready to go home. It was 24 hours. That was the first 24 hours of an 11-day event. He waited. That officer waited while I patched everything up. I duct taped. I JB welded the side of the engine case. And I said, I don't really even want to start the bike. There's no oil in it. All the oil is right here on the ground. It only held 2 quarts of oil. I said, I need some oil. Maybe we can get a tow truck to meet us up here on the highway. Bring us some oil. I don't care, what it costs. He goes back to his cruise and comes back. It was about 10 minutes. And I said, geez, what took so long? And I said, are they going to bring some oil? He says, nope. He says, they wanted too much money. And I said, you don't understand. I don't care what it costs. I never thought I'd be able to get this back together. And he says, no, son, don't you worry. He says, I called my wife at home and she's going to go to the store and get 2 quarts of 2050 oil. And she's going to meet us up here on the highway. And she did. And, that's amazing. If you think about, helping a stranger like that just because you like a story and it's amazing. But that kind of help I've had more than once. As I travel the country now, I'm on the road 120 nights a year, 50 to 80,000 miles. I'm traveling by motorcycle as I'm chasing the cure for multiple sclerosis. And I've run into people, not that I have lots of problems breaking down, but there's always people willing to help, offering help. And it's amazing. The world is a lot gentler than the news would have you believe. I'll tell you that.
Well, and and it's also, I mean, I've circumstance. One time I broke down on a trip at the base of the Cascades, and a friend of mine took off. God, it must have been, he probably did a 200-mile round trip to go get a new regulator. And I'm sitting at this gas station, this older gentleman pulls in. He's like, what's going on? Just broke down, told what's going on. He's like, hey, I got my Road King at home. He goes, I'll go pull the part off if you need it. I'm like, hey, thank you. But, no, I got a buddy. He's on his way back from Yakima. We got the part coming, but, thank you. And it's those kind of people you meet on the side of the road or, a gas station, whether you're on a motorcycle, where they see the motorcycle, maybe there's some sticker that sparks something to them. And, how many gas fill-ups have you had instead of being 2 minutes at the gas station or 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes because you're hearing stories from, a fellow rider, or maybe he doesn't ride anymore, but he did, that your bike or something, what you're doing sparked a memory, and you just built a friendship with a personal stranger that you've never met before, but you now just gained a friend in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, my bike has some decals on it talking about what I'm doing, which I guess we should probably mention at some point. I'm that rally back in 2003. It was right smack dab in the middle of that Iron Butt rally that I started to experience some neurological issues. At the time, I was going through a lot. First of all, I'm in first, second, or third place in the world's toughest motorcycle competition. So I'm riding hard. I'm in the middle of a custody issue. I get a phone call from my attorney who tells me the judge just ruled and I'm getting full custody of my children. I had that emotional bombshell dropped on me. I was riding, the ride of my life. I was having, I had hit a pothole in Nevada so hard that it dented both sides of my rim. So my bike was vibrating like crazy. And I was riding, let's say, very long days in the saddle, trying to keep my podium finish. And all of a sudden, getting to the third checkpoint, both my arms were numb, and I couldn't move my hands. Well, they moved, but I couldn't feel anything. Uh, I was having cognitive issues where I couldn't remember anything I had done the day before, where I had gone, what bonuses I had tried to go to or achieved. When I had signed into the third checkpoint, I couldn't write my name and I couldn't speak. And the rally staff just looked at me and knew that I was beyond um, tired. And they recognized it, sent me to my hotel room, and said, "Don't bother showing up for the mandatory meeting in that evening." They said, "Get some sleep. We'll see you in the morning. Don't even show up." And I had booked a room to share with a friend of mine, and I thought, I hoped sleeping it off would help. But in the morning, I woke up and I was still a mess. Um, I went and got the bonus sheet for the next leg, and it might as well have been in Latin. I couldn't read it. I couldn't understand it. Nothing made sense. I was really scared. Like something was wrong with my brain. And, my arms were still numb and tingly. And um, I went out in the parking lot, and I don't know where my motorcycle was. I couldn't find it. I had brought it across the street at a dealer where I was getting tires done, but I had no recollection of that. Um, so I finally get the bike and I take off, and I think they put the wheels on backwards or something because everything feels wrong. My hands they're not working with the bike, and and something was really wrong. And I, I kind of made my way through the rest of the rally, the remaining 3 or 4 days, but I wasn't, I had lost my competition. I was just trying to finish at this point. Um, I thought I had just emotionally um, between the custody issue and just riding harder than I've ever ridden before. I think I had just blown a gasket or something was amiss, and I didn't feel right. My body was messed up, and I was a little scared. And I just figured I just gotta get through it, finish it, and this is probably my last event because I've got to be a dad to two kids and on my own. So I just kind of knew I had to finish and make it through and deal with the rest later. So I finished. I came in ninth place, which was still pretty damn good. But it was about a year
Impressive.
later. About a year later was when my symptoms really hadn't got much better, and I was experiencing a lot more memory issues. I couldn't. I'd order a pizza at my house, and they said, "All right, what's the address?" And I couldn't answer that. I'd be looking for mail on my counter to to recite my address because right at that moment I didn't know where I lived. I didn't know my address. I'd leave the driveway to go to work, and I'd look left and I'd look right, and neither way seemed right. I didn't know which way it was to go to work, and I've been working the same place for 15 years. So uh, it was just my brain just wasn't working right, and I still had numbness in my hands, and I started having little weird things with my legs, and I eventually it got bad enough that I decided to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. I was so worried that I had something bad enough that my ex-wife would fight me and get the kids back. And that was what I feared the most, is that whatever was wrong with me was going to be another weapon used against me um, to take the kids away from me. And it actually was in the end, but it didn't work. But anyway, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2005, and and I've been living with multiple sclerosis since. So it's been going on 18 years that since I was diagnosed, and it's a pretty tough diagnosis when you're in your 30s, and um, you're a dad with two kids, and you're working 60 hours a week, and you're trying to make ends meet and take care of a family, and you find out you've got a disease that has no cure. And people that I knew in those days who had MS were all in wheelchairs. They were disabled. They were not functioning the same as everybody else. And I figured that was what was going to happen to me. And I kind of, uh, pitied myself and got into a depression. And, I had a little business. I sold my business thinking I'm not going to be able to do anything. Um, I just kind of prepared for the worst. Um, I did go on treatment. I did go on a disease modifying treatment that slows the progression. And I started to, work out and take care of myself and watch what I'm eating and things like that. And 7 years went by, and my disease didn't get any worse. The progression seemed to be slowed down enough that what little things affected me, they weren't life changing, and I was still able to work, and I was still able to do things. And one of the things that I had also done when I was diagnosed is I gave up riding. I figured I was done. I had done some pretty cool stuff. I mean, I've ridden two iron butts. I've got a wall of trophies from long distance rallies and rides, and I knew that I had done things that other people hadn't been able to. So I was okay with selling the bikes and knowing that I probably would never ride a motorcycle again. Well, after the 7 years went by, I said, "Shit," I said, "I think I think I can still ride." I think I probably can't compete because I definitely have issues with the cognition, and I need two GPSs just to get out of a Walmart parking lot, and I still don't trust them, and I end up doing a couple of circles around and like, wait a minute, is this the exit or is this the way I just tried and thought it was the exit or not? Um, People watch my tracker and call me up on the phone and say, "Hey, Paul, I just seen you went around Washington D.C. 3 times. What are you lost?" No, I'm not lost. Of course I'm lost because the same exit looks like the exit that I didn't choose the last time, even though I chose it. So um, it's a bit of issue with the RAM memory. So I still have I still have my hard drive is still there, but the RAM memory is messed up, and so I have a hard time pulling things out at the right time. Um, if we're talking about making soup, and then you say, "Hey, Paul, you ride a motorcycle a lot. Which side of the handlebars is the front brake on?" I probably will hesitate enough that you'll say, "You've never ridden a motorcycle, have you?" But yet I ride every day. It's because I just can't. I can't trust my brain to know. Certainly, my body knows where it is. Otherwise, I'd be in a heap of trouble. But yeah, certain things I just have trouble picking out the answer from the right spot at the right time. Um, and that's my biggest issue with multiple sclerosis. I do have some weakness in my legs and hands, and I have some bladder issues, and I have a trick bladder, which is a lot of fun when you're traveling with them on a motorcycle with all your gear on, and you make a mad dash to the men's and ladies' room, and you do your business. You get back on the bike, and all of a sudden you feel like you have to go so bad you can't wait to get back in the gas station, and you're like, "I just went. How can this be possible?" And so my bladder lies to me, and sometimes, you know, nothing comes out, or sometimes I really do have to go again. I don't know why, and then so it's fun, and I've got a system down pat. So if you see me pulling up to a gas pump, get out of my way because I'm gonna mad dash right into the bathroom, and if it's being used, I'll be in the ladies' room. I'll be behind the building because there are times when it is absolute emergency, and so anyway, I've learned to deal with it. Um, I use a lot of technology when I ride. I do travel all across the country, but I have two GPSs going. I have notes. I keep track of things, and I have everything in the same place on my motorcycle. I use routines. on a regular basis. So everything that I do at night or in the morning, if you move my toothbrush from where it is, I'll never brush my teeth again. I'll completely forget that that was something I was supposed to do if it's not in order where I put it in the morning. Um,
Muscle memory.
yeah, it just because otherwise it would just drive me crazy, and I would get extremely fatigued with trying to remember these things. I posted um, yesterday or the day before my I have a 2021 Yamaha Tenere 700, and I posted my mileage on the European site in kilometers, of course. So I've got 200 and I had 230,000 kilometers on a 2 year old bike, and I posted it. And next to my dashboard at the bottom is a little sticky or label I put down, and it has my tire pressure on it. I think it's 32 and 34. And somebody comments and goes, "You've got that many miles on your bike and you can't remember your tire pressure?" And the truth is, that's true. I can't remember it. And if I have to think about it every time I want to check it, it's just taking up memory or using my brain to think where I don't need to if I can just write it down and it's right there. I know where it is.
Yeah.
I'll never remember what it is. You know, the next bike, it'll be something different. My other bike, it's something different. My car, it's something different. They're arbitrary numbers that I really don't need to store in my brain and and you know and have in my front memory all the time. And so I don't, but I know how to use that. I know how to use the notes on my phone all the time because I just won't remember. And it's I meet a lot of people, and never mind remembering their names, but I've been at rallies and shows where I've talked to somebody for an hour and had a great conversation, and the next day they'll come by, and I'll introduce myself again and start talking to them again like it's the first time we met, and they'll just look at me and go, "Paul, I was here yesterday for an hour. We talked about this and that," and I'm like, oh yeah. But in my mind, I'm going, I sort of remember this now that you're telling me, but like if you asked me again tomorrow, I still wouldn't remember. And it's embarrassing at sometimes because people think you didn't care about the conversation or you weren't being genuine, and that's not the case. It's just I can't remember.
Right.
I can watch the same movie 2 weeks apart, and at the end still be surprised that somebody dies at the end because I just don't remember that's how it ends. Bits and pieces I'll remember, but not the whole situation.
Well, it's like, I mean, you talk about notes. I mean, I have, in my tour pack of my Harley, I got this little black book because on my bike, I'm the second owner. The original owner was my dad. And so he has this little black book, little 3x5 book. And it has, from day one, every service, oil change done, tire pressure. I mean, all these notes, you can flip the pages, time he checked the air filter, when he checked spark plugs, what he gapped them out, why. I mean, the whole history of maintenance is in the little book. And when I got it almost 4 years ago now, I've kept it up. So, check my tire pressure, write down tire pressures, what they're at, my oil changes, my services, tranny, the primary, and same thing. So it's like, I mean, who can remember, oh yeah, 100,400 blah, blah miles, I changed my oil, so I need to do it here. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to remember that. So it's a simple way. I mean, what I do is, I keep up on all the records. So it's like, it's time for an oil change. Look in the book, check my odometer. Oh, okay. I should, do that here within the next month. It's about time, especially when I got a whole bunch of riding coming up. It's like, yeah, I'm doing that this week. I got to change the tranny fluid and do the oil change. But, that's how I, remember that part. Cause just for me, that's also a simple way, some things that you're not going to remember, the little things, all these little numbers, and I don't either. And I keep that book. So, I keep it up to date, and it's just a way that I can remember, kind of like what you're talking about, but not the same, but it's how I, remember some little things, when do I need to do a service, what I got to do here. And because I do all my own maintenance. I do all my own services, and do all the mechanical work on my bike, except when it breaks down 1,300 miles from home, and I need some bigger tools than what I took with me, so I had to eat the bill once and take it to a dealership. But that's a whole nother ball game, another story. But it's how you remember things.
Yeah, I mean, with the mileage, it's an arbitrary number, and next month it'll be something different. So, uh,
Right.
yeah, that does not need to be stored in my long-term memory or even my short-term memory if I can just write it down. I do the same thing. I just use a notes, and I have every oil change when it was done, so I can look and say, "Oh shoot, it's been 10,000 miles. I should probably change the oil when I get home because I'm leaving for another 6,000 mile trip. Oh, when was the last time I did tires? Okay, I'm going to need tires because um, or I need to order tires and stuff like that, and I'll put all that down. Send myself a note when you get home. Remind yourself to order tires, and because 10 minutes later I'll forget that, and it won't be till I get home realize I never ordered the tires. And um, but yeah, I use voice recorder a lot when I'm riding. I write for a magazine called Ability. It's a magazine that features um, celebrities mostly that either have somebody in their family with a disability or have a disability themselves and how they've overcome it and that type of thing. But a lot of times I write my column while I'm riding, and I'm just taking down notes, and I just speak into my recorder and record all kinds of stupid stuff that comes in my head. A lot of my I've done a few stupid fundraisers, and a lot of those have come from just crazy thoughts I've had while riding. Um,
Well, it's like when you open up your website, longhaulpaul.com. I was once told the cure for MS was a million miles away, so I thought I would just go get it and bring it back. I mean, that it's an awesome, inspiring quote, and it's I it's one of those things. Sometimes it's hard to you can read it, but put your thoughts and emotions into words when you read something like that, and then look at the fact that you've ridden over a million miles and you're still going. It's like when we talked the other day, I got the rolling ticker on the bottom. You're over 1.5 million documented miles and you're still going. It's
yeah,
absolutely amazing.
I mean, my goal with a million miles is all documented. Going to either I started off being an MS advocate for patients, and I was hired by a couple of the different pharmaceutical companies that manufacture the medications that slow the progression of disease. At the time I was diagnosed, there were three all injectable medications. I had to give myself an injection every single day for 7 years. Um, but I became an advocate and sort of a inspirational patient speaker. And the pharmaceutical company said, "We'd love to have you speak at some of our events. We're trying to get patients to learn that there are choices out there and different options, and there's ways to treat the disease where 10 years earlier there was no medications at all." So trying to get the word out, and also letting people know that the disease can be very devastating. It can be very debilitating for a lot of people, and but yet there are a lot more people that look like me that have had the disease for a decade or more and are still functioning okay. Their legs are still working. They're still walking without a cane or a walker or a wheelchair. There are more people today that where the disease is being managed pretty well. I'm not saying everybody's like me. There's quite a few people I know who were diagnosed, and within a year's time, they lost mobility, or they've lost the feeling in half their body, or they've had some serious issues with vision and hearing and speaking and all kinds of things. The disease can be very, very progressive um, to a lot of people. So not everybody who has MS can get out and ride a motorcycle. I know that I'm lucky, and I know that my course of the disease has been quite manageable compared to many others. So, I don't want to ever discredit that, but um, 25 years ago, certainly within 5 to 10 years of getting diagnosed, you'd be in a wheelchair. And today, that is definitely not the case. The majority of people are doing okay. Um, our when we have a relapse or when we have an attack, it's a lot less frequent because of the medications, and we're tolerating the different medications because there's now like 27, 24, 27 different options available for treatment, that'll fit in people's lifestyle. So for me, I took the injection, then I took a pill for the next 7 years, um, twice a day pill, which basically the worst it did to me was give me bad stomach aches and stuff like that. But it did slow the progression of disease to the point where um, I don't have any additional symptoms, or they
Well, that's
didn't get
good.
much worse. And knock on
Didn't
wood,
progress.
at my age, the disease tends to kind of wean off a bit for some people, and I'm hoping that's my case. But I also know that, and this is part of what my presentation to patients is, um, I am not MS. This is not the face of MS. When you look MS up in the dictionary, you're not going to see my face. I'm a man. I'm a father. I'm a husband. Um, I'm a avid motorcyclist, first, and I happen to have MS. So um, I tell patients to find something that you love to do in life and to make it more important than your disease. And that's what I did with riding. I started riding. It's now been 11 years since I made uh, um, that point that I was going to ride 1,000,000 miles, start at zero, and just document miles going to MS events. So every mile of that I've documented in this quest has been going to either speak to patients, going to fundraisers, or now I travel with Yamaha's been my greatest supporter, and they've really stepped up and backed me, and they invite me to every national event they're at. So I was at all the international motorcycle shows, every single one of them. I was there with my bike, and Yamaha paid my expenses to get there.
That
And
is absolutely awesome.
they have really, because I'm not some big multi-million-dollar YouTube subscriber, which reminds me, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Long haul,
Because
Paul. Check him
Long
out.
Haul Paul, yep, that's Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. But I'm not some huge YouTuber, type of thing, and so they're not seeing these huge numbers by supporting me. They're doing it because they learned about what I was doing. I was riding a Yamaha when I started, and they said, you know what, he needs our help. He's doing something great. He's riding the shit out of our motorcycles, and they're not really happy about my maintenance routines. But when you show up at an event with a motorcycle and you just rode through 6 hours of snow to get there, and the bike's covered in salt from New England, and people are just amazed. It's a year-old bike with 100,000 miles on it, and they're like, that he's selling bikes for us. I guarantee it.
Well, I mean, you're riding for a cause, you're riding for a mission, you're riding for a purpose. I mean, there's so many of us that, it's a hobby, but you've taken a hobby, you've taken a passion you have, and you've turned that into a cause. And it's, it's inspiring. I mean, for me, it's like how I've, came into mile monsters, riding, doing something I love, and riding for helping out with mile monsters, and for the boys with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, taking something that I can enjoy and do it for a greater good. And you've been doing that for years, and it's it says a lot. I mean, especially when, like you're talking, how far you push your bikes, how far you ride, what you do. You're doing this for a reason. It's not, I mean, yeah, you love motorcycles, you enjoy it, but it's, you're doing it for so many awesome reasons, and to help so many people besides yourself spread the awareness, and talk about it. Like, you don't have to get MS and just all of a sudden forget about life. You can still go on. You can still have a life. Yes, it might be more difficult, judging by, the stories you're talking about, but you're doing something to help so many other people, and it's awesome. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you. I mean, I really did find a way to meld my passion with a purpose. And you know, I knew that motorcycling saved me um, from going to prison or becoming an alcoholic or whatever during my divorce and custody ordeal, which was 10 years. Um, I knew that the riding is what saved me every single time that I felt like it was the end, or I was going to just walk away, or it was not worth the fight. Um, I'd get on that bike and I would ride until I felt like I could turn around and go back and face another day. And with the MS, once I started riding again and taking long trips, I realized that when I got on that bike and get into that zone, um, none of my MS symptoms bothered me. I just I rode all day and I wasn't sore and I wasn't tired, and my brain doesn't have to think much when I'm riding because uh, you get into this state of like motorcycle mindfulness, and all I'm thinking about is what's going on right then and now, and what's around me, and I'm not thinking about problems at home or the bills or anything else. I'm literally just in the moment. And so my brain is relaxed. And so, the cognitive fatigue that I get every day, I don't get on the motorcycle. And I don't get it even after like an 18-hour day on the bike. I just rode, I was in, I was in
Somewhere far away.
the Southwest. What's next to Texas?
New
Uh,
Mexico, Arizona.
uh, Arizona. I was in Arizona on Sunday, um, and I left the event about 2:30 Sunday, and I was home in New Hampshire um, Tuesday evening. So 2,700 miles in 2.5 days. Um, I
That's a
did
good trip.
500 miles, and I did 1150 or so, and then another 1150 um, on just not yesterday, the day before yesterday, Tuesday. But I mean, it's a long day. 1,150 miles is a long day,
Yes, it
and
is.
but I wasn't. I mean, you're tired when you get home and stuff, but I wasn't extremely fatigued, and that's because the riding is just it's therapy for me. I trademarked the term moto medicine and the medicinal
That's a
use of
good one.
riding. And I really believe that riding motorcycles can be medicinal. And I really think that the past 10 years that I've been on the bike riding for MS, I'm doing something, that I feel is worthwhile. I'm helping people. I'm reaching out to newly diagnosed. I'm raising money, and I mean, I'm having fun too. But I'm doing what I love, and it's helping people. And I really believe that that's a huge part of treating my MS. I mean, I had my doctor write me a prescription to ride my motorcycle.
Hey, why not? And it's like you said earlier. We talked about the phrase two-wheel therapy. I mean, even myself. Sometimes I mean, I drive truck for a living, so I'm in a truck for anywhere from 11 to 14 plus hours a day, and there's some days where I'm fighting traffic and dealing with retards on the road. It's like you just gotta I gotta clear my head, and there'd be times like I don't have sometimes have a lot of time in the evening just because the hours I work. It's like I just got to go get out, and there have been times like I might only rode 10 miles. It could have been 15, but just that little bit of time, hit a couple little back country roads, do a little loop, and come back home and can feel refreshed. And just it's a way, I've always been able to a way to clear my head. It's like you just get on the bike, get in the wind, and just enjoy some time behind the bars. And it's like, okay, you can come home and you have that smile on your face, like, all right, I'm better now. And there have been, many times, my bike has also been a great therapeutic for me. I mean, I've ridden since I was, I started on dirt. I've ridden since I was young, but it's always been also a way that a guy can relieve stress, or you got something going in your life, you just need to clear your head. My motorcycle's always also been that for me. And it's, you know, a great therapy.
It really is, and I'll argue with anybody, but I think the more miles and time you spend riding, the safer you are. You're getting experience every time you're out there, and
Yep.
I think I, I tell you what, I'm pretty scary in a car, because I hardly ever drive. I do have a car. It's about 17, 18 years old, beat up car. I think I got $500 about 8 years ago. Um, and it just sits in the yard, and I just have to replace the calipers every year because they corrode because it just sits there. Um, if I go to Walmart or the gym or something, or take the dog to the park, I use the car. Other than that, um, I'm on two wheels, and I'm traveling. I mean, I hardly ever go out for a little day ride or anything because I'm gone 10, 15 days at a time. And when I get home, I'm not about to tell my wife, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go out for the day on the bike again. So, all the miles are on the bikes are basic work miles. They're going to events. And that's what I want. That's what I want to record my million miles. If I could get up every morning, ride 200 miles, do a big loop, and I'd be done the million miles by now. That was never my intent. My intent was that the miles were all raising awareness or raising money for MS. And I think I'm close to 600,000, maybe 570 or 80,000. I haven't added up the last little bit yet, um, but it's been going on 11 years now, so I've been on the road quite a bit. Um, this is all I do. I don't have a day job. This is my whole kit and caboodle. Um, I do. I'm not a charity. I raise money for a charity. I have a charity I work with that I've been raising money for the last 5 or 6 years now. MS Views and News, and they put on patient educational programs all over the United States, in underserved communities, in rural America, and really important information to get out to these patients. Some of them have no idea that there's even medications today for MS, but also newly diagnosed that need to know the importance of getting on treatment right away. And then also there's other aspects um, of the disease, treating the whole body, your diet and your exercise routine, and supplements and all that kind of stuff is all very important, as well as mental health. And all those things
Right.
get taken care of through MS centers, and just getting patients the education they need. So um, I do silly fundraisers, and I do some serious stuff too. I Every year I put on an event called the MS 5000, and it's like the MS Walk. So you sign up and you pledge to ride your motorcycle as many miles as you can, from September 1st through October 20th. It's 50 days. So 50 days for MS, and you ask your family and friends to donate whatever they can in your name. And you get so many points for every mile that you pile on during those days, and so many points for every dollar you raise. And so person with the most points gets the trophy, and all that type of thing. And it's a ride you do on your own. And every year the MS 5000 gets about 50 riders. I'd like to see that number up to 100 or 150 or 200. Um, it's $30 to enter. You get a T-shirt and sticker and all that stuff. And whether you can ride the miles or not, hopefully you can raise some money, and it's all going 100% to the charity I work with. The M
We'll
the
have to talk about that later. That could be fun. I have some stuff in September where I'm going to be doing some miles, so we'll definitely talk there. I would like to help out how I can, and I know maybe get a few other guys and get on board, and
Yeah,
add a few
yeah.
more dollars to the pie.
This year will be the 10th year anniversary of the MS 5000. So Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. The Iron Butt Association also does a Saddle Show 1000, which is the usually the first ride that people do when they join the Iron Butt
Hmm.
Association. But you can actually do a MS1 Saddle Show 1000 in the name of MS. It's called the MS 1000, and it's the same price, I believe, or maybe it's a couple bucks more than the regular MS um, Saddle Show 1000 certificate.
It's well worth it.
But they donate $50 to the charity I work with in my name.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, they've been really good to work with, and they've also the Iron Butt has also recognized a few of my stupid world records that I've done for stupid human trick charity world records. They've recognized those, which are really cool. Uh, let's see. If you do want to support me personally, I do have a Patreon account, which is kind of a tip jar for YouTube creators, where you can pay $5 or $10 a month, and it's an automatic payment out of your checking or whatever, and it's just like a tip jar, and it helps put gas in my bike. It helps me with a lot of the travel expenses that I incur. Um, as I said, Yamaha has been helping out, but I do a lot more traveling than just to the Yamaha events. I do a lot of charity rides and things like that, where all the expenses and hotels and all that stuff comes out of my pocket. So
That
um,
adds up quickly too.
it does. My toll my transponder for the year is usually $2,000 or $3,000 in tolls on the motorcycle, which is pretty crazy, because it's not like I'm going through a toll every day. This is just going out west, across 90, or going south to Florida, all the tolls through New Jersey and New York. And
That's what sucks. You guys on the East Coast got all them freaking toll roads, and it's like
I
you don't
think it
have the goal of doing like the 48 and 10 and some other stuff. And it's like, fuck, I had all them toll roads to figure out, how to deal with all
I think
that stuff.
I think it's $17 to go across the George Washington Bridge now. And
17 bucks across a bridge.
let me tell you, whatever you do, you don't want to put your foot down, because there's huge crater potholes across that whole bridge. They should at least repave it for the price you're paying to go over it.
That is insane. 17 bucks.
Yeah, I'm
Fuck.
pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah. Although if you drive really close to the car in front of you, sometimes they get charged for a trailer.
Hey, there you go. See, we have one toll bridge here in Western Washington, the Tacoma Narrows, and it's got cameras. So what it does is it will, if you don't go through the toll booth, you can go, down the highway, but they got all these little cameras in the section that'll take pictures of your license plate. Well, my tour pack, my license plate is so high up underneath my tour pack on my Harley, it can't see it. I've gone over that bridge. Fuck, I can't even tell you how many times, and I've never once gotten a bill on my motorcycle.
That's good. Funny story about I have two funny stories about toll easy. We call it Easy Pass here in New England, but um, my I don't know if you know, but I have one of my Yamahas. I have a Super Tenere, my first Super Tenere that I rode for the million miles. I set a world record on it, and the next day it decided it was never going to run again. Um, so that bike was donated and is actually down at the Barber Motorsports Museum
Oh, no
on
shit.
display. Yep, it's one of the only motorcycles in the entire museum that doesn't quite run, and it's filthy dirty. Just looks the exact way the day that I rode it, the day that I set the world record, and they picked it up. Um, anyway, that bike, um, its last day was in Utah, and it got picked up by Haul Bikes, 1-800 Haul Bikes. They donated um, the cost of picking up the bike. And they picked it up in Utah and brought it to down to Alabama to the museum. And about 3 months later, I got notice in my Easy Pass that they're increasing my monthly amount to like $700 a month. And so I'm like, well, that doesn't even make sense. Why would they do that? And they said, well, it's because of all the tolls. And I finally read through all the toll stuff, and I realized that my Easy Pass was still on the windshield of that motorcycle when it was in the back of an 18 wheeler, and I was charged an 18 wheeler's price across the entire United States in every toll booth, and it was hundreds of dollars
Oh
in
shit.
tolls. And so I call my the New Hampshire toll thing, and they say, "Well, we don't care, and there's nothing we can do about it because it's from all these states." This is you have to write to every single state and explain what happened. And I tell you right now, it's been more than 30 days. They won't even change it. You're screwed. That's what they told me.
Oh damn.
So if your bike's ever towed somewhere, take your damn Easy Pass off and throw it in the woods or something because you don't want to be charged for an 18 wheeler price.
Yeah, it's probably that's a lot more.
Yeah. What's that, like 87 axles or something? Um, I borrowed a bike. I had a clutch problem on a motorcycle, and I was in Virginia at a rally, and there's somebody from Rhode Island there, and said, "Hey, Paul, if you want, take our bike. We put it on the trailer and bringing it back to Rhode Island, but it was a KLR Kawasaki. Take the KLR home, and we'll bring your bike back to Rhode Island. You can pick it up um, on your way or whatever." And so I did. I took the KLR and I drove it, right up 95 through all of, there's like 87 toll booths in New Jersey and then New York, uh, nothing in Connecticut. And then I didn't hit any mass because I was going to Rhode Island. Anyway, I show up and, I thank him very much. And I said, "Oh, by the way," I said, I don't know where your Easy Pass is on this bike because I think a couple of times it made the buzzer go off and everything. And he says, "Paul, we don't have Easy Pass." So I went through every single toll booth, and this was back before they took the pictures and just sent it in the mail. This is back when they would fine you like big bucks for going through a toll booth without paying with it, when they used to have the people there. So he says, "We don't have Easy Pass." I go, "Oh, sorry."
It sucks to
I'm,
be you.
I'm used to just blowing through, because I've got the pass. So, yeah, that was funny.
Oh,
Good
that's good
sports.
stuff. Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I don't even stop for them. Where was I? There were some toll booths in Arizona or not Texas. Maybe it was Oklahoma. I think it was in Oklahoma. I was on some highway that had a couple of toll booths, and they don't take the New England Easy Pass, but I don't care. I'm not stopping at a toll booth. I ride right through, and you can mail me anything. You can chase me if you want, whatever. But I ain't stopping, and it's too dangerous. And everybody should be running the ability to check my Easy Pass anyway. So it's just not worth it. Catch me if
Yeah,
you
let's
can.
all get on the same page.
Well, actually, I think the Congress, our wonderful Congress, is about to going on vacation as they shut down the debt ceiling, whatever. But anyway, sorry. Our Congress made a law that all the states had to be using the same transponder service by, I think it was 2016. So as far as I'm concerned, Congress said they're supposed to be able to accept my Easy Pass, then they should accept it. And if they don't, tough.
Nah. Yep. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
So I know coming up in June, you're gonna be up here in Washington in a few weeks.
Yeah. Next week I'm heading out to the Americade Rally in Lake George, and then I think I'm home a couple of days, maybe a week, and then I'm heading out to um, the Touratech Rally in Blaine, Washington. I think it's
Actually,
Blaine.
no, Leavenworth.
Leavenworth is where I'm staying. I think the actual rally is in Blaine.
Okay, I thought I was reading on
Campground.
their website. I thought it was
Oh,
Leavenworth.
it's the same. It's right there. It's right in that area.
Well, it's your Leavenworth to Blaine. I don't know, 5 hours, 4 hours, something.
No, 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 no. Blaine? Maybe it's something else. Somewhere in Washington, I'm going to the Touratech rally. My GPS will get me there. Yeah, last year I went. It was our first year going, and it was cool because I took an extra day, and I actually went up from New Hampshire to up into Montreal, crossed over the Great Lakes, the other side of Lake Superior, which I gotta admit, I don't know who called it a lake. It's an ocean because you can't see the other side, and there's everything but clam shacks all around it, lobster. I think it's an ocean. But anyway,
It's
the other
huge.
side, Lake Superior, and then all across Canada up into a couple of the national parks up there in Canada. Icefields Parkway goes up to Jasper, and
That's some
uh,
beautiful area up there.
oh, it was awesome. It was. I mean, I was only up there for like half a day, and then had to come back down into the states. But yeah, I got some incredible footage, and I got a bear running across the road in front of me, and it was about 36, 37 degrees and raining, and I had a smile on the whole time. It was just the scenery is incredible. Um, Banff National Park, that's the other one. Just
That's on my bucket. Yeah, you'll be up in
oh my
Leavenworth.
God, it's just beautiful, beautiful. So
Leavenworth is a beautiful area because that's where they're doing stuff all through the Cascades and up in Leavenworth.
yeah, so I might do that again. I'm not sure. Might be a little bit cutting a little bit close. I said come home from that, and then August is Sturgis. I'm out there for 10 days, and I think there's another rally somewhere in Virginia. So it's crisscrossing back and forth. Um, that's how I put on the miles is going to those events. And when I'm at those events, I mean I'm working. I'm there at the Yamaha demo truck. Um, Not only am I the celebrity on staff, whatever you want to call me, I'm the fix it guy. So let's see, what did I do last week? I mounted a tire on a rim. We had a bad uh, somebody got a flat, and so we replaced a tube inside a tire. So I'm the guy who broke down the rim and tire and all that. I do a lot of chain maintenance. I replace a lot of broken clutch levers and things when people drop the demo bike. So I'm also a tech guy on site, but I'm also there just to talk to people about what I'm doing, pass out my brochures, tell people how they can follow me on social media and how it helps me grow my
Following?
support, corporate support. Um, I've got great support. Like I said, Yamaha's been awesome. They've donated the last 3 bikes. I have a bike in my garage, a brand new Yamaha Tracer 9 GT, which is their sport touring triple. Incredible machine,
Nice.
way too fast for me. But they donated it to me. They gave it to me Christmas. It rolled down my driveway. It's still in the crate. I put it together, and I've added about $5,000 in accessories. It's fully loaded, decked out, long distance touring rider, custom seat, custom bags. It's got a built
Dang.
radar detector. It's got clear water lights on it. It is set to go, and I'm actually going to be raffling it off before I beat the snot out of it, like I do everything else. So
Oh, dang.
it's pretty much. I just did the first oil change today, 600-mile oil change. It'll have 1,000 miles on it, maybe when the raffle starts, and it's going to be a quick raffle. It'll be probably 300 tickets only, and $100 a ticket, with all the proceeds going to the charity I work with. And just like all my other raffles, whoever wins the bike the next day, I drive it to their house. I don't care where they live. I just
That's
ask they give me
awesome.
a ride to the airport afterwards.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we'll
that
have to try to keep in touch when you're in Leavenworth. Have to see some. It'd be really cool, even if we could meet up for 10, 15 minutes or something, say hi in person and whatnot. Because I mean, really, it's not far from my house, and that weekend you're there, I have some buddies from Wyoming that are going to be here, and we're going to be riding all over Western Washington and all through there. I'm going to be showing them all kinds of areas, and yeah, if something could work out, that could be pretty cool.
yeah, we're there the regular show hours, probably like 9 to 5 or something, and then we head back to our hotel or go out to dinner or something. So we'd be able to hook up and then hang out and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Have a bourbon and kick back. Yeah. No, this has been cool, man. It's following you and whatnot. Like I said, I myself and Go Home Ken, we had quite the long conversation about all your adventures and whatnot, and I've enjoyed hearing your story, and it's like I tell everybody, you keep doing this, you progress, you're doing stuff, man. Everybody's always welcome to come back on, talk about the next adventure, what they got going on, or anything coming up where like what you're doing, you're trying to raise awareness and raise stuff for a cause and a greater good. And man, you're always welcome to come back and share stuff or pitch whatever you got going on, because this has been I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun, man, and I thank you.
I thank you too, and I appreciate the motorcycle community is really the most incredible giving community. So many people are afraid of us are us badass bikers, but you talk about Ken and Mile Monsters, and if you're in a dock parking lot and you see those guys pull up, you're probably going to cringe a little bit, but they're all teddy bears. They're just great guys. I've met those guys quite a few times, and Ken Andrews in particular. I poke so much fun at him before I think I even met him in person. We had hit it off, and we were busting each other's chops on Facebook, and then privately we're messaging each other saying, "See how far we can push till we get kicked off the Facebook group or something." And we're both just laughing and laughing and poking fun at each other. And I've done a couple of big presentations for the Iron Butt, some of their big dinners and things. They've asked me to speak, and I put together some pretty interesting presentations. And
There we go. Oh, it's all blurry. You can't tell. Oh, damn Cameron. Yeah, there's me and Ken. We're in South Dakota.
Oh, very cool. In fact, yeah, I was texting Ken just the other day because I was passing through um, Little Rock on Monday, and I'm like, "Hey, Ken, you at work?" Because I've been to his work. I'm like, "You at work? I'll come take you out." I think his birthday was last week. I says, "I'll take you out for birthday." He says, "Paul, I'm working. I can't go." I said, "All right, well, it's your loss. Um, Next time I blow through, I owe you a beer." But yeah, he's a great guy, and what those
Oh,
guys are
he's a
doing,
super cool guy.
what those guys in Hopper and Riot, I mean, what they're doing right now is just amazing, and I hope people know. Um, my last real job where I actually got one of them pieces of paper at the end of the week, um,
Paper.
and one at the end of the year, was 7 years ago, I believe, and I worked. Because I knew I had MS myself, I started working on doing customizing of high power wheelchairs, and so I worked with in New Hampshire the very disabled handicapped people in dire straits, not the rich people, and the people that were in government housing and stuff that didn't have anything, and we built them chairs and we built them devices and things so that they could just function in their apartments in life. And I got to meet some incredible heroes, struggling every day with simple tasks like pushing an elevator button, um, and figuring out a way that we can make a gentleman who can do almost everything else himself but can't reach that button from his wheelchair, how to do it so he doesn't have to call the front desk at his building to come and open the door for him every time, and things like that. um, it's a lot like farkling a motorcycle. It's a lot like adding accessories, and that's what I did on wheelchairs, and it was incredible. But I got to really, it humbled me to see what these people go through that are really struggling with physical challenges, and seeing what Riot and his crew are doing with Mile Monsters. And right now they're doing this 100 days, 100,000 mile thing, and it's amazing. Um,
Yeah, I go June 17th is my day. I'll go and
awesome, awesome. And I mean,
go do my 1,000 plus.
I don't know. I didn't know where I was going to be, so I didn't offer. But I have told Jeff if he gets stuck or he needs a rider that I'm often on the road. And when I'm on the road, I'm doing 1,000 anyway, almost every time I'm traveling. So hook me up and I'll try to you know post and try to grow some money even in 24 hours. See how much money I can raise. I don't mind helping out in that way or any other way, helping promote what they're doing because just like me, they're out doing something for a good cause. But they've chosen particular kids, and it's just incredible. It's a great story. What they're doing is incredible. I'm really. I was just watching on my ride home. I was a little bored. I was watching some of Jeff's latest posts and things, and I learned a little bit more about some of the kids and stuff. It really pulls at your heart. And these kids, what they go through.
Exactly.
Uh, I MS is nothing compared to what these kids are going through. Or my MS anyway, is nothing. So that's awesome. And I hope people are tuning in. I hope people are sending their tens and $20, $50, whatever, to their favorite rider, or even just to a group of riders, because it isn't easy to ride 1,000 miles. Like Jeff was
No,
saying, yes,
it's
we
not.
forget.
But
We forget because this is what I do for a living. I ride a motorcycle for a living, and I don't expect anyone else to do what I do because this is what I do. I'm not a plumber. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a golfer. I don't do anything else. This is what I do. So I do
well,
make it look, but it doesn't.
and the cool thing with Mile Monsters is how it's grown in the short amount of time since he started this, adventure. Kind of put it is now he's actually taken on a couple more boys, and it's really catching on more riders. Everybody's coming on board because it's a great cause, and so many is myself looking back. As a parent, with my daughter, she had loved playing sports, playing volleyball, soccer, showed horses. Both my boys, played baseball. My middle son, he, played college ball, and now they're both actually coaching baseball. My older son is now coaching high school ball. My younger son, since he finished, he went through, playing all of his summer ball times up till he was 19. Now he's coaching junior Babe Ruth baseball, and to see them give back is awesome. But you flip the string, so to speak, and as a parent, these other boys, with his Duchenne's, and it's like, wow, it just makes you feel more gifted. It's like, you see the life that your own kids have, and then you see the other boys, and it's like, it's not fair. There's so many
No,
other
but
ways. I think that's the most polite way. That it sucks. And so for me, it's like if I can help, I with the Monster 100, I started last year my own ride with Mile Monster called Monsters Over Mountains, and we'll be doing that again here in the end of August. We're gonna take off where last year we zigzagged all the Cascade passes in Washington down to Mount Hood in Oregon, and we did 1550 in under 36 hours. And I got a kind of a cool route put together for this year. We'll do another, roughly around 1,600 miles with the goal of hitting it in under 36 hours for the bun burner. But if I can help, by doing something I enjoy and help, raise awareness and also, help these boys, and man, I'm all for it. I'm all about it.
yeah, yeah, no, it's a great cause, and in fact, they're finishing their ride in Sturgis,
Yeah.
and I'll be there, and I'll hopefully we can hook up. I'll try to figure out where they're going to be, and
Yeah,
I'd
I'll
love
be
to
there
be there.
too.
I don't know if I'm going to be at. Well, Yamaha is going to be in 2 locations this year, I believe. So,
Yeah, I'll be over there with Wild Ass, and I know they have 2 locations set up. So my wife and I will be working at those. But then, yeah, we'll take off to meet on Friday. Hopefully, the plan is when I was talking to Craig to meet Hopper with how many other people come in and ride the last 100 mile of his leg, and
is it
bring
on
it
the
on
Friday?
into
Did you say it's a
yes,
Friday?
yeah,
The,
August 11th.
I got to write it down. I know I shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah, it'll finish August 11th,
I,
and it will finish at exit 55 at Black Hills Harley-Davidson.
uh, I might. I'm actually doing a presentation at Aerostitch in Duluth, Minnesota. I think it's on if that's the second Friday of Sturgis, because Sturgis is a whole like 10 days or something. Anyway, well, I'll look it up. But if I can
Yeah.
be there, I'm definitely going to be there. And I'm going to throw some bucks to a couple of the riders that I know personally. And but yeah, it's a great cause. And like I was saying, the motorcycle community. I've raised over $300,000 now for MS charity, and
That's awesome.
not a penny of that would have happened without people joining my fundraisers or following what I'm doing. And so it's all because of motorcyclists. Sure, I have some family and friends that follow me, and actually some people with MS who follow me and stuff. But the majority of people who do my fundraisers and things, they're all motorcycle related. It's motorcycle community, and
And the motorcycle community as a whole is an amazing community. Even, I mean, from the times I was young, even with, when I was doing hill climbing and whatnot, doing dirt, it's like a family. And even, as I've done this, getting to know a lot of the people, other riders, the YouTube community, the social media, and with everybody that I've had, and I probably say it every episode, but that's the best reward of this. I'm here. We're Milepost 102. I don't call them episodes because, us motorcycle riders, we're always chasing those elusive mileposts, and it just seemed an awesome fit. And to the best part is the relationship and the friendship that I made with 102 people is awesome. And, sadly, the very first guest we had, we lost him almost 2 years ago to COVID, which was Leo McElrath. He's the only one. And we memorized, made a memorial podcast, which I re-aired his original one. And I think that was 37, became the Veterans Memorial Highway. But, it's been an amazing ride. And, I don't plan on quitting this anytime soon because it's what I love doing. It's what I enjoy. And this is just a bonus of riding, all the people I get to meet within the community and the friends I get to make. And, I'm honored for you taking time out and coming to hang out and sharing your story and help sharing your story. And we'll get it out there even more.
yeah, I appreciate it. It's a small world, and motorcycling is even smaller part of it. But like you said, the community is strong, and when people get to know others and learn their story and what their deal is, and when you find others like myself out there riding for a cause, and it's a legit cause, and people, it's funny. Like I said, I don't present myself as I'm an MS patient. I'll talk to somebody for an hour on the side of my motorcycle under the Yamaha tent and about MS and raising money and this and that. And then they might see something in my brochure and go, wait a minute, you have MS? Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, and because they'll say, so tell me, is it somebody in your family? Is it personal? Why are you doing this for MS? I go, oh, I forgot to tell you. I have MS. And they're like, oh, wow, and it's always, well, you look so good. But, that's, yeah, you do look so good, but it doesn't always mean the inside is, is
It's the same.
hard. But yeah, because it isn't, it's not how I introduce myself. I'm a motorcyclist. I'm an avid motorcyclist. I love riding. I would rather ride in the rain and snow than fly anywhere or drive a car. It's
Oh,
just
amen.
it's moto medicine. It really
Yep.
is.
I love that. And man, that's I think a great way to end it is that is a great hashtag and a great way to put together kind of what we do is, it goes right along with the whole two-wheel therapy is it's moto medicine. It cures our soul and helps us heal from issues we have going on and what's going on in the lives. So Paul, thank you so much for coming on tonight and hanging out and sharing your story. And we'll put all the links below, down in the description so people can check out all your pages and what you have going on and follow along the adventure and, throw in their mocha money, hopefully.
All right. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great. And yeah, uh, like, share, or follow, or get the hell out of the way because I'm on a million-mile journey chasing the cure.
There you go, man. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in, man. Have fun, ride safe, enjoy the open road, and we will catch you at milepost 103 as we're past 102 and we're cruising down the road. Paul, thank you so much. You guys all have a good night, and we'll catch you soon.